How many of you feel sometimes like, my job doesn't matter? Diego, who's behind the camera right now, I'm sure feels that way right now about what he is doing. And that's okay. I understand that. I can appreciate that. I forgive you, Diego. Or maybe you're not working right now. Maybe you're between jobs or you're retired and you just wonder, the stuff I do day in, day out, I don't feel like it has an impact. I don't feel like it matters. So how do we approach jobs or the day-to-day when we feel like it doesn't matter? Let me start by taking the idea that some work doesn't matter and just throw that in the garbage where it belongs, because that is a garbage thought. I get it though. I worked in fast food. I worked in retail for almost a decade. I have had times on staff here at Seacoast where I've been at my desk and thought, I'm just not sure that this thing I'm doing right now matters that much. It doesn't feel like it does. So I've definitely had that thought. I've definitely felt that way. And I've definitely been in jobs where after getting screamed at by a customer for almost no reason, I am wondering, this cannot be worth it. Here are two things that I want you to understand. First, we are really poor judges of what matters. We're really not very good at estimating things that matter and things that don't matter. Second, you don't get to decide the impact of what you do. You can think that something you do has impact or doesn't, but you don't actually get to decide whether what you do has impact. Very often we think that something matters and it doesn't so much. And a lot of times there's something that we don't think matters very much and it actually ends up being a big deal. And the same thing is true with impact. I can remember times where I thought, I'm having a really meaningful conversation with my boys right now. And then at the end of it, I realized they did not hear a single thing I've said. But in the same way, there have been moments where I've heard them say things and realized, oh gosh, I made an offhand comment a week ago. I remember that conversation and I wasn't even paying attention, but I said something and now I'm hearing them repeat it. And sometimes it's like, oh great, I'm actually glad they were paying attention. And sometimes it's, I need to pay attention to what I'm saying. I don't want them to say those things. Very often we're not good at estimating what matters. And very often we just aren't good at knowing what's going to be impactful and what won't be. So that's one thing. Taken together, those two things, what does it mean? Well, I think it means that we should treat every work as though it matters and every job as though it has the potential to have a lot of impact. Paul gives us a helpful way to think about this in the book of Colossians, and I'm going to read chapter 3, verses 23 and 24. It says, whatever you do, work heartily, as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ. So, okay, imagine your job for a minute. Imagine some of the stuff you do, right? Pick a real mundane task that you have to do once a week, once a day, whatever. Now imagine who you do it for. It could be a supervisor, it could be customers, whatever. Now, think of someone that you really admire. I mean, think of someone who, if they walked into a room and came up to you, you might not be able, you would not be able to talk. You'd be so nervous, maybe starstruck, that you would basically lose all composure and make a complete idiot of yourself because you were so nervous. Imagine someone like that. So now, imagine that one day, you have to do your job for that person. Imagine that one day you have to serve that person. You're a server at their table. Or for me, I've actually had a well-known actor come up to me at Barnes & Noble and ask me to help them find a book. That was super nerve-wracking. We didn't have the book. Imagine that person, suddenly you have to do that work that you think is useless. Imagine you have to do it for them. Would you do it in the same way? No, you wouldn't. And if you answered that yes, you would, you're a liar. And that's a whole separate talk that we'll do sometime, I'm sure. No, you would absolutely do it different. And I know that because we all change our behavior based on who we're doing it for. If we have someone coming over to the house, we clean our house, even if we don't like the person very much. When our supervisor is close by, we do our job a little bit better. We pay a little bit closer attention to what we're doing. Even if we're a hard worker, if our boss is around, we actually want to make sure that they see us at our best. There's nothing wrong with that, unless you're just pretending and you always do a terrible job, and that's not good. We do change how we do something based on who we're doing it for. And if someone came into our job that we thought the world of, we would do our absolute best to have them walk away and think that we were the greatest at whatever it was we did for them. We absolutely would. And Paul says, in everything we do, we should do it as if we're working for Christ. And not as some sort of game of pretend, But because, and he says this at the end of verse 24, because we really are. In everything we do, we have an opportunity to do it as if it were for Christ, because it is for Christ. And not as though Jesus is there asking us to find a book, or he's there, and we're taking his order at the table, but because everything we do is a reflection of really what we think about God and the work that he's given us. There was a time in my life where I was super frustrated with my work. And it got better, not because I found different work, but it got better because one day I decided, you know what, I want all of this stuff over here instead, and I've been angry that I can't have that. But I realized I'm not doing a good job with the stuff I have because I'm spending all of my time thinking about the stuff I think I should have instead. What if I just focused on the stuff that was right in front of me? And I think when we decide we don't have to work hard at our job, or it doesn't matter, one of the things we're saying is, God, I don't believe the work that you've placed in front of me matters. And I think when we say it that way, we'd realize, ooh, that's not a great perspective. Everything that is in front of you to do, even if it really is mundane, even if it is just washing dishes that will get dirty a few hours later, that matters. Because it's work that's in front of you. And in everything you do, you have the chance to demonstrate an excellence that says, I'm working for someone beyond who is simply right in front of me. This work can have an impact, not because it's capital I important, and what does that even mean? But because the work is important because God's given it to me. It's something he's entrusted me, and he's asking me to do it. And we should do it as though he was right there with us, and as if he was someone that we would so want to impress. Every day is a chance to honor God with our work. And striving for excellence shows that we really do believe that he has given it to us and that he is asking us to work hard at it. Stop wondering whether your work matters. Instead, what I think Colossians 3:23 through 24 shows us is that every work, every job is the chance to work as though it really matters. Because it does. Because God has given it to you. He's entrusted it to you. Every day is a chance to give something to God. So let's stop wondering whether our work matters. And let's see it, the fact that God has given something to us to work at. That's what matters. And we should do it with all of the excellence that